I'm not the first person to say this, but video games are expensive. The rising cost to just exist is really putting things into perspective as I get older. I'm at this stage in life where I can theoretically get any game I want, but that's not the issue. I find myself juggling too many games nowadays. Some I paid full price for, only for them to collect dust for months, even years. It's that modern dilemma that we can never seem to shake nowadays. I hate to be that guy, but I do miss when I could get a brand new game for $50 or less. But now that's reserved for smaller titles. Multi-gigabyte games ain't exactly cheap. And especially with how quickly games come and go, it's becoming difficult for me to keep up. The FOMO continues to haunt me, despite trying so many times to not care. I've noticed, especially on YouTube, the amount of excess within the gaming scene, how it's so normalized that people are buying so many games at once. Whether I'd like to admit it or not, missing out on these releases feeds into my temptations to have everything. So, for the sake of my own headspace, I made an executive decision to really cut back on getting new games on release, filtering out the maybes and what ifs, and refocus the hobby back to myself and only myself. Because frankly, it's been way more fun that way. Here's why. This might be a radical thing to say, but I don't believe that I should play everything. I've absorbed so many recommendations over the years, from articles to videos to word of mouth. You gotta check out this franchise. You have to play this game. You need to experience this cult classic. While I'm sure it's all well-meaning, it can be too much to take in at once. I know I haven't gotten into Kingdom Hearts. I need to try out Fire Emblem, and somehow the success of Pikmin hinges on me supporting the new game, but here's the thing. I don't want to right now. No one is actually forcing me to try new games. If anything, it's really on me to broaden my horizons. But when all of these recommendations pile up in my brain, I start to feel like a fraud, like I don't actually know that many games as I think I do. And it's been difficult relating to references to games I have no idea about because of the constant overflow of new releases. I remember a time when I was allowed to obsess over one game for a couple months, taking that time to really know the game inside and out. Picking up on little details that your average consumer may not notice helped cement those memories as important pieces of my nostalgia. Sure, there were some other games I dabbled with on the side, but the main game had my full attention until I felt like I had my fill. I never had this sense of dread every time I decided to play something. Back then, I actually felt done with my games. Wild, because I didn't have much of a choice without the vast library I have now. And then I eventually grew up with this newfound freedom to buy whatever game I wanted, but that came with a price. Literally, the overwhelming choices kind of freaked me out, so I just stuck with the franchises I knew and loved. Once I began buying games more often, this is when I started developing that cursed analysis paralysis. I may have had the money, but did I necessarily have the time and energy? Debatable. No matter how open-minded I wanted to be, trying something new is always a risk, and my brain can only handle so many risks at once. I am not the person who jumps headfirst into every new thing that comes out. I'm pretty much the exact opposite, where I take an absurd amount of time deciding what to play next. It somehow has to be this calculated move on my part, or else I risk wasting my time. Oh no. Here's the thing. I absolutely love everything to do with games. I spend a lot of time playing, watching videos, and even complaining about them. The passion is not lost on me. But I can't care about every game. I don't know how some people have the energy and money to keep up with so many releases, or how they're interested in so many franchises. Maybe they're faking it, or maybe that's just a me problem. But sometimes I would see regular gamers, but mostly content creators, show off their new game of the week. I know it's part of their job to have new games, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, how are you that excited about the new Endless Ocean coming out? Something's fishy here. I hate to always blame the internet for everything, but I can't deny that it can bring out the worst in people's intentions. Whether it's for validation or clout, that much exposure can be exhausting. Game hype and controversy was definitely a thing well before social media, but nowadays it feels more pronounced, because I often see the most extreme sides play out, where neither side wins. Unfortunately, negative attention is still attention, and the only people who benefit are those who profit from the noise. I understand when people are passionate about something, they need somewhere to express it, but more often than not, They tend to build unrealistic expectations, especially if I plan on getting a game day one. That's usually when the most opinions are swirling around, and I don't know whose opinion I should believe more, so I feel this need to keep up, or else I risk feeling left behind, or worse, subjected to spoilers. And God forbid, a game ships incomplete, because those day one players are bound to make a whole ordeal about it. They will let me and everyone know how broken it is. Thankfully, we live in the age of constant updates. So yes, waiting for games to be fixed can be annoying, but at least it's a possibility. That's why I intentionally wait months, even years after their release date. If I'm really on the fence, I can just wait and then download the most recent updates, so I can experience the game in its most playable state possible. Therefore, I won't have as much to complain about online. Imagine that. Speaking up is important, but I swear some people make it their whole personality to have problems with every little thing. This is what happened with Pokemon Scarlet. I willingly bought this game 2 whole years after that circus of controversy. Do I still clown on the game for its slideshow performance like everyone else? Of course, but guess what? Haven't had a single crash yet. And the frame rate didn't end up impacting my enjoyment whatsoever. And that is thanks to all the updates released since launch. If I picked up the game day one, knowing the questionable footage I saw in the trailers, I probably would have been less forgiving. But that's the value of patience, because I ended up enjoying the game way more than I thought. Sometimes I wish I wasn't so hyper aware of every new release. I don't even go out of my way to keep up with articles and trailers. What feels like being pulled in a million different directions is the overexposure. I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like everyone's exhausted from something, and I'd hate for gaming to be part of that category for me. So I'm relearning the art of slowing down, and that starts with resisting the temptation to keep up with new releases. Whenever I'm influenced to get too many new games, I either never play them enough, or it's already over before I get the chance to take it all in. So what am I doing instead to fill my time? Well, at this very moment, I've been in a massive Pokemon kick lately, where I'm basically playing and finishing every mainline game I could get my hands on, which means replaying older games with fresh new eyes, and for the version exclusives, and possibly having a living dex in each one. I know, insane, but it's honestly been a fulfilling long-term project. Since my end goal is to complete something, I have no choice but to slow down and take my time. I get the chance to do everything I've forgotten about over the years. I'm upset that I let the internet sway me away from even trying the Pokemon Switch games, cause I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for fun, and thankfully I can say that I found fun in every one of them. Another recent example, when the Thousand Year Door remake came out back in May of 2024, I did buy the game day one. I have actually played the original before, so it would make sense for me to blaze through the game, which sounds contradictory to everything I've said. But instead of marathoning it all in one weekend, I intentionally played that game in little bursts every few weeks or so. And it wasn't because I didn't have time to play it. I chose to take my time. As I'm writing this, I'm still not done with the game. And this crazy thing happens where I'm appreciating the game even more, taking in all the beautiful details that I missed before, as if I was playing it for the first time again. Over the past year, I've really hunkered down and focused on what I'm actually interested in at the time. I've only bought games I knew I was gonna love day one, even though I could have saved some money if I waited a week. It was worth it to me, instead of feeling obligated to keep up. I've also cut down my spending to only a brand new game every few months, which might sound agonizing to some, retro games excluded, and it's proven to be very fruitful for me. The pressure to binge every single game is basically gone. For a while, I felt a little aimless, but now that I have a specific focus, I'm more satisfied with my experiences, regardless of outside opinion. Yes, I will chronically play Pokemon every day, because that's honestly what I've been obsessing over at the moment. Of course, there's still room for multiplayer games along the way, but regaining that intimacy with my own games has been so refreshing. I kind of feel like a little kid again, choosing whatever game I felt like playing that day. I forgot what it was like to play games for fun instead of for validation. I'm kinda tired of the whole internet hype cycle. Yes, it can be exciting to be part of the conversation, but I want to reserve that excitement to my close group of friends, not strangers on the internet. Time and time again, I see the same narrative of knee-jerk reactions over thoughtful reflections, where people really want to let me know what to think and how to feel. I should be playing this, not that. Stay away from this or else I'm part of the problem, etc. I just want to reset and play games for myself again, and one of the only ways to restore that feeling is to reject the status quo, aka pulling back from the current trending games. Obviously times are different now. I can't go back to exactly how things were, nor would I actually want to. I'm not trying to go back to the laggy laptop days. I don't miss that. It probably wouldn't feel that dramatically better than I do now. Maybe I'm just too nostalgic for my own good, but it's important to remember why I still do this. If I like something, I should focus on that for as long as I want. Simple as that. It can last a few days or a few months. It doesn't matter what comes next. As long as I like what I'm playing, I'm pretty sure I'm in the right place.